Hey, Wrong World Entertainment, and it must be that time of month again, because yes, Paramount has announced once again Star Trek 4, the movie that just keeps being announced and announced and announced and never happens. But this time, there seems to be a difference, because this time they've named a writer. Oh wait, that has happened every time they've announced this crap. Between writers and directors, it never happens. It's been 8 years. 8 years they've been talking about this, and we're still nowhere close to having this happen. Until they think, oh no, we got it done now. So let's have a look at what this one says. By the way, we still apparently are getting multiple movies. So Star Trek 4 may finally be taking flight, as a new report reveals the long-delayed movie starring Chris Pine's Starship Enterprise crew has a writer. Oh my goodness, a writer, you say? Star Trek 4 may finally take flight, as the new screenwriter is penning what is billed as the final chapter of the Starship Enterprise crew, led by Chris Pine as Captain James T. Kirk. The J.J. Abrams produced and Justin Lin directed Star Trek Beyond was the last Star Trek movie to hit theaters in the summer of 2016. Now, 8 years later, this is the longest time there hasn't been a Star Trek movie in theaters since Star Trek The Motion Picture launched Gene Roddenberry's 1960s TV series as a film franchise in 1979. What about the gap between Star Trek Nemesis and Star Trek 09? I'm pretty sure that was the longest period between the movies. No? I'm pretty sure it was. A new Variety cover story about the Star Trek franchise reports a promising update about Star Trek 4, as the next movie has a new screenwriter. This could mean J.J. Abrams' alternate Kelvin timeline USS Enterprise crew could finally reunite on the big screen. And this is what Variety wrote to get everyone excited to go, yay, it's finally happening, because they got a screenwriter for like the umpteenth time. They wrote, the studio still intends to make what it's dubbed the final chapter for the prime Quinto Saldana cast, and Stephen Yoki, the flight attendant, is writing a new draft of the script. So he's writing a draft for a script for a movie that nobody has signed on to, has not officially been greenlit, but we're supposed to get excited? Yeah. So, and here's the best part of this whole article is, numerous filmmakers have attempted to develop Star Trek 4, but departed due to, quote-unquote, creative differences, including heavy hitters like Quentin Tarantino and Fargo's Noah Hawley. Variety's Star Trek cover story has a brief rundown of the development hell Star Trek 4 has faced, and this is what they wrote for this. First, a movie reuniting Pine's Captain Kirk with his late father, played by Chris Hemsworth, fell apart in 2018. Around the same time, Quentin Tarantino publicly flirted with, then walked away from, directing a Star Trek movie with a 1930s gangster backdrop. Noah Hawley was well into pre-production on a Star Trek movie with a brand new cast, until then studio chief Emma Watts abruptly shelved it in 2020, and 4 months after Abrams announced at Paramount's 2022 shareholders meeting that his 09 cast would return for a movie directed by Matt Shankman, Shankman left the project to make the Fantastic Four for Marvel. It probably didn't help that none of the cast had been approached before Abrams made the announcement. The funny part about that, about the whole none of the cast were even approached when JJ made that announcement, wasn't just that JJ Abrams said, all the cast are coming back. We're doing this new movie. It's going to be great. He also said we were going to start filming at the end of this year and it'll be out next year. When he said all that at that shareholders thing. So, and then of course Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto and stuff were approached. You starting a new Star Trek movie at the end of the year? And they were like, no, I haven't even been told about a Star Trek movie. Variety report also mentions the origin movie for the entire Star Trek timeline, written by Seth Grahame-Smith and directed by Toby Hines, is preparing to start pre-production at the end of 2024. If that happens, this new Star Trek origin movie would beat Star Trek 4 to theaters, but fans are eagerly awaiting the return of Chris Pine's Captain Kirk and the Starship Enterprise. Are they? Show me who's out there clamoring for another J.J. Abrams Star Trek, because no one is. Absolutely no one is. These things have failed spectacularly on the big screen, and they keep trying to put... There's a reason they haven't been able to put out a movie since 2016. It's because Star Trek Beyond bombed so bad that the studio lost confidence in pumping that much money into another one that wasn't going to get a return. You know what I mean? Even Simon Pegg came out and said, they're spending far too much on these movies. It's up into the $200 million budgets. And a Star Trek movie shouldn't even be that. They're just trying to make it Star Wars. And then you keep hearing, oh, we handed them in a script and they told us, no, sorry, it's too Star Trek. Jesus Christ. But as for this origin movie, now they're saying it's meant to be the beginning of the entire Star Trek timeline stuff. From what the original report was on that, was that it was to be a prequel to the J.J. Abrams movies. So people were asking, like, wait, are they planning to set it on the USS Calvin that started the Calvin timeline or something? It was meant to be the build up to that. Nobody wants it. A prequel to a prequel. Like, Jesus Christ. And then we also got our first image was released of Michelle Yeoh in her upcoming Section 31 TV movie. And there's a whole article. I'm not going over the article because I couldn't care less. You can see the image though. It's an absolutely nothing image. It's Michelle Yeoh looking dumb in Star Trek because she's terrible in the show. And that's hard to believe. They've managed to make Michelle Yeoh terrible. Talking to... what's that thing supposed to be? RoboCop meets the Borg? Like, Jesus Christ. Nobody wants this movie. Paramount don't even want it. That's why they're like, oh, just make it a TV movie. Just get it the hell out of here. So, once again, we're being told Star Trek 4 is happening. I'll believe it when I see it. I wonder how long it'll be before we're told this writer has walked away. Because none of the cast have signed on. None of the cast are going to be cheap to get back. Zoe Saldana had massive hits with Marvel and starred in the two biggest earning franchises, like the two biggest earning movies ever in Avatar. I don't think she's going to come back for something like a $2 to $4 million. She's probably going to be demanding between 12 and 15, if not 20 million. Simon Pegg probably want 12 million. Zachary Quinto, he's really been in nothing since, so you'll probably get him on the cheap. But Chris Pine, the whole delay to this movie was the fact that Paramount were nagged on their contract with Pine over the money. They signed a contract with him that in the next movie you would be paid this much, and then they turn around and went, we don't want to pay you that much, we want to pay you less. And he was like, yeah, well, the contract says you owe me this much if we do a new one. And that's been the entire delay. You think that's going to change? You think he's going to turn around now and go, oh yeah, I'll do it for next to nothing? No, he's still going to demand that massive amount. This movie's never happening. Star Trek on the big screen under this regime, under these people, everything else, like the thumbnail says, it's dead, Jim. Just let it go. With that, I'm going to leave it there for this one. So, with that, cheers. I'll catch you in the next one, and live long and prosper.